Hello and welcome to episode 3 of My Dad Didn't Write a Hit, a podcast following the development of the career of singer-songwriter Jennifer Owens. Jennifer, how are you this week?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Hot. I'm a bit hot this week, but...
Yeah. I think before we go any further, I know we spoke about this earlier, we just both wanted to say that, you know, of course there's been a truly terrible thing that's happened in George Floyd's murder. And I saw a really interesting thing earlier. It was by a singer-songwriter. I believe he's in LA. His name's David Red, and I follow him on Instagram. And he was like, you know, he was ultimately saying he believes, you know, passionately about equality and kind of ridding the world of racism. And he's, you know, if I don't want to misquote him, but it was along the lines of he can't truly understand, you know, how people, you know, how it's felt to be treated that way, you know. But, you know, he stands with them. He doesn't understand fully yet, you know, he wants to learn more. And that kind of sums up how I feel. You know, I've always felt from a young age, you know, it doesn't matter what colour your skin is, you know, everyone should be treated on an individual basis. Yeah. I wouldn't say I was massively educated in it, and maybe that's something I think
because of that, I worry that I'm going to say the wrong thing. I worry that I'm going to say something that's going to be, you know, taken in the wrong way. But I know that I feel the same as you, that no matter what race we are, no matter what our sexuality is, you know, any of those things, we are all human beings.
I know.
And we all deserve to be treated the same.
No, definitely. I think what people are saying now is that you know, it's down to people like you and I not to be silent anymore, so our hearts can be in the right place. But we need to you know, we need to be more outspoken, and it's, you know, there's always that thing, isn't there? Well, what difference am I going to make? But ultimately, you know, it's like, you know, I always think with like the environment, recycling, that kind of thing, you know, it is going to take, you know, lots of people to have that attitude. Well, I can make a tiny difference, and I do believe in that. So, you know, I think I've said to myself, you know, I'm going to try and, you know, take more of an active. You know, I'm going to try and be more active in educating myself.
There's been so much online about educating yourself, about so much, so many links and blogs and pages and things that have been shared around that are really useful. And brilliant to kind of get involved with. I
think it's important that, you know, if we feel strongly about it, let's try and you know, be a bit more active in kind of I guess educating ourselves and, you know, and making the little differences where we can, you know.
Definitely.
So that's kind of what I've taken away from it, you know, and the big you know, the big kind of movement on social media, and, you know, people protesting peacefully, you know, that I think, you know, that is raising awareness. There are people out there you know, leading things that are raising awareness and you know, hopefully be the start of, you know, the beginning of truly kind of ridding racism, which should have happened a long time ago. I think last week we spoke about, you know, people getting in touch, and you mentioned to me earlier you had been speaking to some people that have been in touch.
Yeah, I had a really lovely girl. She got in touch and it went into my private because we hadn't spoken before. So I didn't see it until a couple of days later. But anyway, she messaged and said that she had come across my TikTok videos and that she found them really funny, and they were a bit of a release from how she was feeling at the moment. And she went on to say about how she'd found my music and she really loved it and it was so inspirational, and that she was a singer but had stopped doing it and she wanted to get back into it. And we got chatting and I just said to her, just keep doing it, like keep singing, keep singing. And I've had a couple of other conversations as well with a guy that I chat to, and he said he's struggling at the moment with his voice and finding like the bits that he feels comfortable in and like the right things to sing and stuff. And my nan used to say to me that singing is good for the soul. And when I was a kid, you don't really understand those sort of like sayings when you're young and stuff. But I truly believe that now. Yeah. It's good for you and we should all do it. And it doesn't matter what you sound like and it doesn't matter where you do it. And
I think if you're at that point where perhaps you've lost a bit of confidence, you're unsure as to what to do, I think just forget about anyone hearing it. Yeah. You know, don't worry about pushing yourself out there on social media. You know, you find
because the guy said to me, you know, like, do you listen back to what you do and do you think, oh, that's not great? Yeah,
every day,
I do, all the time,
always will.
Like I'll be singing stupid things in the shower and I'll criticise myself because it sounds rubbish and I'm in the shower. Like I do it all the time.
The most talented people often have the worst cases of imposter syndrome. Yeah, you know, where it's like, why am I here? I'm not good enough to do this.
And I'm not invincible. I'm really, really, really not. And I'm not invincible to those intrusive thoughts and those, you know, like we'll record things and it will take Guy to have to say to me, right, I'm calling this one. We're not re-recording that. Yeah. Because if I had it my way, I'd do it again and again and again and again. But yeah, what I think I was just saying is that it's good for you. And it doesn't matter if you don't think that you sound like Christina Aguilera or Beyonce. Just do it. Like, just sing. Just
I know sing. I think...
sing whatever you want.
Yeah, and don't worry about getting a fan base, anything like that. You know, kind of...
Just sing in the mirror with your hairbrush and in the car when you're stuck in traffic. But it just kind of made me a bit sad this week that I'd had 2 people in the space of 1 week say to me, oh, I've stopped singing or I'm struggling with singing. Like, don't.
No, I know.
Don't worry about it.
I've had times, you know, after I started getting paid for, you know, producing and that kind of thing, I've had times where I was kind of developing at what I did, where, you know, and I'll always be learning, you know, but I have less times now where I feel like an imposter. You know, I've had times where I just feel rubbish at what I do. Yeah. Just really like, why is someone paying me to do this? What, you know, why am I bothering? Yeah. There are so many better people than me. There'll always be better people than me, you know, but it's kind of, you know, just don't be so hard on yourself, you know.
And there are parts of my voice that I don't like. There are parts of my voice that I find really difficult to get into and sit really nicely in. And a lot of the time I'm always saying to myself, well, you don't sound pretty. You don't sound pretty, because I don't think I am a pretty singer. And what I mean by that... So if
you're not a pretty singer, what are you then?
The ugly singer.
Because you probably haven't thought about the positive label you'd give yourself.
What I mean by pretty singer is, who would I say was like a pretty singer?
Eva Cassidy?
Yeah, Eva Cassidy, but also like that Ariana Grande type.
Oh, okay.
Like
so
pretty, floaty type voice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't sound like that. And there are a lot of times when I'm singing things and when I'm practicing things and I think, I really wish that I could put more Ariana Grande into this rather than gravel from the front drive.
Yeah, but, you know, everyone has different qualities, don't they? You know, and I think the kind of depth to your voice, that quality, that incredible quality you have there, you know, if that means you know, you might not be able to get up to the whistle register that Mariah Carey does, then, you know, then so be it. Yeah. You know, like there are,
And my range as well. Like, I beat myself up about my range for so many years,
unnecessarily.
And people would say to me, "Oh, well, you need to sing higher. You need to stretch your range. You need to, you need to hit that note. You can't lower your music. You can't lower your sheet music." And for so long, I had a real complex about how high my voice didn't go. But and even now, there are times when I think, oh, I really wish. Like, I'm always working. Like last year, I was working to get the top D, and this year I was.
You've always been able to get the top
This
D.
year I'm like working to get like a top E, and like next year I'll be working to move on and on and on. And
Okay, let's. I know this question's more for people listening. I know I've asked you this before, but when people are listening to Someone Like You by Adele, are they connecting with the lyrics the way she emotes, or are they thinking, I wonder what her top note is? People aren't going to go, I'm going to buy 25 by Adele. Do you know what? She can hit her. I don't care. I just think she moves people, like you.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in that I do all of those things in my head, and they get in there and they stay lodged in there, and I do all of those things. And so those things are normal, and I'm not exempt from them.
Yeah, and it's easy for me to say you don't need to worry about that. Yeah. But then there are things that I beat myself up about that I don't need to do. We're all kind of we
all do it. We all do it.
We all do. But and I think anyone that feels like they're starting out, don't think that obviously we're not. I always say, we're not claiming, we've had huge success with your project and we're like the kind of benchmark of anything. No, but, some people might see that you've had the confidence to put yourself out there and that kind of thing. Yeah. But we have our insecurities, and some of the most interesting and talented people there are out there that I've met, are the ones that doubt themselves the most.
But then also don't overanalyze it. Just sing. It is good for you.
Yeah.
It is good for you. It's good. It's like therapy. It's like a release. And, and there are times when, this is going to sound so twisted, but there are times when I love to put on a sad song and sing along to it because it makes me cry and I can get it out.
Yeah. But, sad love songs exist in the millions for a reason. People want to connect with stuff like that.
There's a line from a song, and I can't remember what song it is. You think that people would have had enough of silly love songs. What is that song?
Silly love songs. Oh.
Isn't it Silly Love Songs? Isn't it called Silly Love Songs?
Probably. I don't know. But I know the song.
I only know it from the Moulin Rouge. Yeah. Love the Moulin Rouge.
And talking about perhaps, we have insecurities. We, we both need support from each other. And again, going back to, talented people needing, perhaps a bit of a support system in people. And, even if they, if you see a counsellor, that kind of thing, for whatever, not just for your creative endeavours, for things in life, I think it's really important to talk. And it's reminded me of that lyric. Is it from Smash? You say it's your favourite lyric of all time.
Oh yeah, it is my favourite lyric
of all time. So what is it?
There are some in this world who have strength on their own, never broken or need of repair. There are some born to shine who can't do it alone, so protect them and take special care.
Yeah. And do you know what? Those artists, the ones, they're real, they're vulnerable, they're often the biggest, the most successful. And I think people like real, and it's it's relatable, it's real, and so if you're someone starting out and you feel that way, then just go easy on yourself.
Yeah.
So last week, what we said we were going to do every week, in the name of transparency, was give a numbers count on your
how many pizzas we've eaten this week.
No, how many workouts we've done this week.
Sorry, carry on.
There's been more workouts than pizzas, but
there has.
The calories
probably outdone
the calorie intake versus calories burnt. I don't want to know what that is. Ups and downs. But yeah, so I don't have last week's numbers in front of me, but there are a couple of things we can talk about. So this week, you are at 2,370 Instagram followers. Facebook, 17,841. So I think that's down about 35 or 6, something like that. Spotify, now this is interesting and I want to talk about this. Spotify, 312 followers. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously you love engaging with your fans on social media, and they're amazing platforms to connect with people on. Being creative, creating, great music, that is the most important thing to us. But as I've said before, it is also a business. It just is, and it's a funny one to talk about, but it is what it is.
What's really great for me, and some people kind of like comment on this as well, but what's really great for me is that the business side of things is where you take over, and that for me, I love that, because it means that the creative side and the interaction side and the bit of it that makes me feel fulfilled and happy and content and all of those things, that's down to me, and that's where I feel incredibly lucky to have someone like you that kind of deals with the business side of it.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of artists out there that are having to do both.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're going to be spreading yourself thinner on each, the creative side and the kind of management side, which, is, we know how hard it is, like we're up against it as it is. So I think it works really well, because I never thought I'd go into this side of things. I went from being in a band to, carrying on being creative in producing and writing. But like I've said before, it got to a point where, I felt at the mercy of people, and you couldn't rely on anyone to put the work in that a project needed. So yours was the first. I'd kind of, for want of a better word, flirted with the idea of maybe managing before. But yours was the first project where I thought, no, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to, I want to manage Jen. A lot to learn. Still have a lot to learn, but I knew, ultimately I was going to. I was the only person I knew of who was going to put the time in. Yeah. So I think that you have the kind of management side not to worry about so much, and you can worry about focus on being creative and creating content. The buzzword. I think that's great. It frees up your time.
And I know that I'm incredibly fortunate to be in that situation, because I know that there are, as you say, there are artists out there that don't have a you to do all of that stuff. And I'm really fortunate to be able to focus entirely on the bit that I love doing.
Well, and it gives you time to engage with, we don't like saying the word,
that's
but
what
fans,
I mean. Focusing on that bit that I really enjoy, that bit that I love.
The bread and butter of being a musician, Going back to the point I was making about having 312 Spotify followers. So last week, your follower count would have been probably about, just over 300. So ultimately in a week, you've probably only grown a few, like a handful of followers. And when you think about the, ultimately Spotify is where we can, that's what's going to enable us to spend the time on it, because it's going to generate the income. Obviously it's only generating very little at the moment. You make more money from live shows and at the moment more from kind of performing for events and things where you're sometimes you'll be singing your own material, but there's more money in you going out singing other people's music at the moment, which is fine. We really enjoy that. But of course the aim is to also be going out and having lots of people singing your own songs back at you, and people kind of paying to see you because they want to hear the songs you've written. So, and I think the Spotify followers, obviously we've seen that kind of weak growth, and you think there's been kind of growth on Instagram, TikTok. There's been huge growth, relative to this project, and it just kind of shows how hard it is. For some people it won't feel hard. They might have picked up a big kind of editorial Spotify playlist. That's when so for anyone that doesn't know, so at Spotify there are people that curate playlists, so editorial playlists, and these are people that can, they get submitted lots of music to listen to, and they say, oh, we want to put that track in this playlist and that one, and so there are people that kind of they have that kind of fortune of an editor at Spotify putting their music into some big playlists, and that can really kind of catapult you into the kind of high streaming numbers. But yeah, we are up against it. I think the fact that so last week I think you were on 4,000 and something TikTok followers, and now you're on. I had a look. You're now on 7,291, and you've had hundreds of thousands of video views on there since last week, and as much as you love it, it's good fun. You're a funny person. It's
mad. It is.
But ultimately, it's we're doing it. You enjoy it, but we're also doing it because we hope to make people aware of you as an artist and moving people to Spotify. And although you're at the moment, we didn't do the monthly listeners. I believe your monthly listeners are 1,244. So I believe that's a bit lower than last week. So that means that in a kind of, in a month period, 1,244 people are listening to your songs however many times. So one person can listen to a track 50 times. You might get one person who listens to one song once in a month, that kind of thing. But when you think about and some of, a lot of those listeners will be existing fans of yours before you went on TikTok. Some of them will be people that are being served your music through the algorithm on Spotify. So these are playlists that are generated by artificial intelligence, where they can see that people are kind of listening to your music. So they go, this is, doing quite well. So they'll kind of give it a chance by pushing it out to people that have never heard of you before, but in a kind of relative to how you're already doing way. So, you're not going to get an algorithmic push similar to Justin Bieber, so it's kind of relative to how you're kind of currently doing. So, when you think about that a lot of those monthly listeners will be not from, TikTok at all. Yeah. And when you think of all the views you've had, it shows how hard it is, And
it really does.
There might be people listening to this. There might I follow quite a lot of marketing gurus, and they might be sitting there thinking, well, I can tell you why that is. But we're exploring lots of ways to try and promote the tracks, without being too forceful, without saying, here I am listening to my music. Definitely. So, for example, we posted you posted a video on TikTok of people that aren't on TikTok. This will probably sound so bizarre and so ridiculous. But ultimately what it was you explain it.
So it was just a stupid video, and it was a cheese string that I'd cut up to look like a finger, and then I'd painted a fingernail on it with nail varnish. Then it was, when you get like a hangnail or a whitlow, is that what it's called? Yeah. And you really, really don't want to pick it because you're going to regret it, but you do pick it, and then it hurts for like days on it. And it was just a stupid video with that, and I picked the little bit of cheese string that was hanging off, and I dragged it down, and it went right the way to the bottom of the cheese string, and I put that up, and it just went mad, like mental.
Hasn't it had? It's had between 350 and 400,000 views, hasn't it?
It goes up constantly.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So and then what we thought was kind of, I guess,
and because off the back of that, loads of people then follow you. So they click on that video, they watch that video, and then they like what you're doing, and they go and they follow you as a like
content creator.
Yeah, TikTok creator. And I guess we just kind of thought, well, we've bagged a few more people, so let's maybe not jump on it, but let's kind of just introduce the fact that I also sing as well.
because there was that, from your previous single release, Deepens With Time, we had already put together like a little kind of cut from it, haven't we, to put on TikTok at some point. And it's really lovely, you know, kind of, it had a different feel to your other kind of funny videos on there. It was very heartfelt and it had a kind of different tone, but we thought, well, let's try putting that out now and see what happens. So it was the next day you posted it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
I think it might have been like maybe a couple of days later.
I think it was the next day.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've got a feeling. But ultimately, this video of you with a cheese string blew up, and the video of lovely song. You know, your voice obviously sounds amazing on it. The clips, because it's all the clips from your old home movies. You know, and the captions were really lovely.
Yeah.
And still had under 1,000 views. Is it?
Yeah.
And it's at times like that you really realise how much you're up against it.
Yeah.
So, kind of carrying on with the Spotify thing, it was in 2018, after we had a bad experience with something that we're still not sure how we can talk about yet. It was coming off the back of that, you'd been posting a lot of covers on YouTube.
Yeah, once a week.
Yeah.
It was a weekly thing. We decided to just go at it really, hard.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think we were seeing it as a way of, making people aware of you. And the YouTube started going really well, didn't it? So I think...
Because we also did... like a vlog type thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we also had a Tuesday thing where I would just sit and talk to the camera and it'd be really like friendly.
Yeah.
And then we did original, was it Thursdays?
Yeah.
And that was all kind of, again, to let people in on me and let them see me and kind of invest in me as a person. So we were putting so much content out into YouTube, loads of it, and loads of it. And it was like a full-time thing.
Yeah, and I think we were very much finding our feet though, weren't we, in terms of, we kind of had a rough end goal in terms of we wanted people to become aware of your original music.
Yeah.
But that was kind of our goal, but I don't think we knew.
I think we knew that we had to get people feel as though they were close to me and like they knew me. I think we knew that. We knew that for people to invest in the music, they would have to invest in me as a person.
We got to a point with it where we're spending a lot of time on this and we're not, with the original music suffering. So in terms of how much we had, how much time we had to write, and ultimately it did feel like, and people could say, oh, you should have left the covers up. Now the reason we took the covers down is because coming off of the back of that horrendous experience, we in a way we wanted to kind of like just not make you discoverable. We
just needed like a bit of like downtime.
And ultimately we had kind of, we had tried these different avenues and we got to this point where, off of the back of some of our efforts, various opportunities were kind of put in front of you. We took this one, it didn't turn out well. And it just kind of felt like we just need to like kind of wipe the slate clean, have some time off, think about the direction of the project, and then we can start again. Yeah. So I totally get when people say, like, you shouldn't have taken your covers down.
I do get it. And because I, like, even me, and it's me singing, like, I like to look and listen and remember and, and watch back and listen to those songs. I do. And, I do feel sad that those, because there were thousands of people watching them.
I think within a year, I think we went from having a handful of videos up on there. We didn't have any strategy. Yeah. We just put a few videos up. I think you got to about 400 subscribers, something like that. And then we said, right, we're going to focus on YouTube. And within a year, we got up to 18,000 subscribers on there. Now it's going down now. It's, And
there was, after the experience that we're talking about, there was actually a bit of press that was written, and they referred to me as a YouTube singer. And now there's nothing wrong with that. That is a career in itself, and those people work incredibly hard. But for me, that's not my goal. It's not for me personally, that's not what I want to do.
It can be one kind of branch of what you do, obviously, in that you'll post your videos there and, your music videos and other bits, but it's, that's kind of one branch of what you hope to do.
But to have that bit of press kind of slap that on me was a bit of a reality check. And I remember thinking, well, hang on a minute, that's not the goal that I am reaching for in life, and that's what they think of me.
But I think you can't, as things progress, if hopefully your career takes off and more people.
No, I know what you're going to say. I know.
If you expect any less, then it's only going to get worse.
But that for us was the turning point, and we did take them all off. They all come off. Everything came off of YouTube.
It wasn't because you didn't like them, and of course.
And it also wasn't because I get a lot of questions about it being because of legal reasons, and were we told to do that? Were we made to do that? That's not the case at all. No. It was a decision that we made. It took a lot of thinking about. We toyed with the idea and were unsure whether that was what we wanted to do, and it was totally our decision, and we decided to take them down.
Yeah. And it was just it was part of a bigger thing. Of course, it's not that you didn't appreciate the support and all the amazing comments, people going to your Instagram, finding you on there.
And we do send them out. When people get in touch with us and say, I really missed this cover, or this was played at a funeral of a relative, if anybody gets in touch and says, please, can I have it? We send them out because I feel like that's kind of the least I can do when I've taken that away from them.
Yeah.
Is give it back.
Yeah. So we can, if anyone's listening and thinks, oh, I remember that cover.
Just drop me a message anywhere on any platform. Just give me a message and
we can send you an MP3.
Sort it out. Yeah, because as I've just said, I just feel like I took them away from you, and
no, I know.
And I do,
Yeah. So there'd been a bad experience,
but also I felt really deflated, and I felt really lost and let down, and I know you're not like this, and I know it kind of rolls you up when I say it, but for me I just thought, well, what's the point?
No, I know, I do get that,
and that downtime for me, I think, was the punch that I needed to come back at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Knowing what we were doing, full steam ahead type thing.
Yeah, so there we go. So, the covers, it's not that you didn't appreciate the support.
No, not at all.
Massively appreciated that. Yeah. It's not like you're never going to sing covers again, at some shows and things. There are going to be some covers that you've already done, you'll go on to do, which can be great.
Yeah.
But, we want people to hear Jennifer Owens' original material.
Yeah. We do get asked about YouTube a lot. Yeah, we do.
So that's YouTube. But do you know what? I had a really interesting conversation last night with someone. I won't say the guy's name. He might not want me to, but I had a really interesting chat with a drummer. We had a WhatsApp video call. He's someone that I think he's an amazing player, incredibly talented, really lovely guy, kind of presents himself really well, no ego, that kind of thing. And I didn't bring this up because this is something that I obviously talk about a lot, and we've kind of, we kind of named the podcast, after it. And before I said it, he said to me, but, sadly, having success is, 90% who you know, and this is a guy that has done some really cool work. He's played for people that, millions of people know who they are. They've done really well, but he's kind of still in this position where, that work isn't, he has kind of consistent work doing various things, but that kind of session work playing for big artists hasn't been totally consistent for him, and that is such a shame. We ended up chatting for about 3 hours, I think it was, but not just, we weren't just moaning. We understand why kind of networks of people develop and why certain opportunities might not present themselves to the likes of us and the guy I was talking to. But I think for any, you get so many people, it's like, oh, you want to do this, or why aren't you on, Radio 1, and I always say it's not that easy. And there are all sorts of people, drummers, singers, artists, people that are so talented trying to make their way. But it is difficult, and it is so much down to who you know.
But it's like that in loads of industries.
Of course it is.
It is. I was watching a live with... there's a baker I love on YouTube, Yolanda Gamp, and her channel is How to Cake It, and I love her so much. I could spend hours and hours just binging.
That's some seriously tidy baking,
yeah, check
isn't
her
it?
out, Yolanda Gamp, How to Cake It. And she was doing a live, and her producer, who produces all of the shows now, said that they went to like several different TV channels in the beginning, the very beginning of the YouTube channel. They went to several different TV, like producers and said, this could be a brilliant TV show. And they all turned them down and they all said no. And so they kept at YouTube and they carried on. And now she's got millions and millions of subscribers, and she has a successful business, and she has a successful subscription package, and she hosts like,
and she's a great host. She's an
amazing,
incredible baker, but she's an incredible presenter as well.
She's an all-round like brilliant person, talented and what's the word? Charismatic and charming and all those things.
No one had the vision to see it.
No one had the vision to see that as a television program, and yet it is a huge YouTube series now.
Yeah. No, I know.
So it happens all over.
Yeah, and the classic one, the age-old one is the Beatles. They were turned down. Oh, it was something silly. Don't quote me. Something like 13 times. And look at what they did. And it's. I think there's this real kind of thing in music where it's like, well, I don't know someone or I don't know them through someone else. It's like almost like a wariness of like, it's, kind of, maybe not a wariness, but there's that, reluctance to invest any time. I've gotten to know some people, like talent is talent, I don't care, who someone knows, where they come from, that kind of thing. And, I chat to some really talented people that no one knows. Yeah. It's a shame, the likes of us, we sit around and feel sorry for ourselves, but ultimately it's for us to go out there and create our own opportunities. But it is certainly more difficult. Like I've said before, there are, like people like what I do, writers, producers, and they have some success, younger than I am, and you think, go on, you do a bit of digging and you see, oh yeah, their dad had a publishing company, and and it's kind of, in a way, obviously they won't be able to achieve things without talent. They're going to be very talented, but they just have that kind of leg up, Yeah. So yeah, really, really interesting. But yeah. So I think that's probably about. I didn't make many points as to what we were going to talk about this week. I just kind of wanted to see where the conversation went. I don't feel like I've got anything else I want to talk about. You?
What?
Well, there's loads I could talk about, but yeah. In terms of what people will be interested in, I think that's probably about probably about it for this week.
My hay fever's just started kicking in, so
okay. So
I'm gonna get all sniffy now.
It's hay fever tablet time. But yeah, no, thank you very much for listening. Go and have a listen to Jennifer on Spotify, and you'll find her on Instagram, TikTok, and all of those places.
I'm now a TikToking girl.
You are. We will catch up with anyone listening next week.
Yes, and between now and then, there will be a new song.
Oh yeah.
Didn't even mention that.
We should, shouldn't we?
Surprise.
Okay. So thanks very much for listening, and until next week, goodbye.
Goodbye.